Welcome to Season 5, Episode 9 of COMMCast. I'm your host, Madison Mosello. COMMCast is a production of the Longwood University Communication Studies Department and the COM 434 CommLab class. This show is dedicated to highlighting the Longwood and Farmville communities. So, let's get started. Joining us on set today is Heather Beach, the president of the Dunnington Mansion Foundation. Heather, thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, how did you find out about the Dunnington Mansion?
So the summer of 2021, I was on the Facebook group Abandoned in Virginia because I like looking at Virginia history, abandoned old houses, and a photographer had posted a bunch of pictures of this gorgeous abandoned mansion, which I now know was Poplar Hill or Dunnington Mansion. I didn't at the time, nor did I know where Farmville was, but I absolutely fell in love with it and decided I got really tired of reading 700 comments of why is it like this, what happened to it. I was also intrigued by the story that there was an abandoned mansion on a championship golf course, so I decided to start a nonprofit to try to save it.
Awesome, thanks. And could you tell us a little bit about the history of the mansion?
Sure, I'll try to condense it because it's quite an extensive history, but it all goes back to a land grant in 1743, a 1,000-acre land grant. The house itself, the original brick structure that's out there, was built in 1830. So from 1743, actually all the way through 1860, it passed through the Woodson, Watkins, and Wood families. That was actually all the same family, but it was matrilineal. So it went from daughter to daughter to daughter, which is why the names change. In 1860, Captain John Hughes Knight of the Confederate Army purchased it and moved in with his family. One of his daughters' name was India. So India ended up living there. She married Walter Dunnington of Dunnington Tobacco. So those people who are familiar with Farmville, there are the old warehouses downtown. Green Front is in it. Charlie's Waterfront Cafe is in one. Those are Dunnington warehouses. So she married him. He put an addition on the front of the house in 1897, which is sort of the classic facade that you can see from the road. He died in 1922. She continued to live there until she was 103 years old. So in 1960, she passed away. She lived in the house 99 years, and it went to a local family, the Bolt family. So Glenn and Frida Bolt bought the property. They did do some logging and sawmill business work on it, and then they turned it into a working farm. So that got passed to their son, and in 2000, it went to an investor group to build what's now the Manor Golf Club, the golf course that's out there. The mansion was supposed to be the crown jewel of that development, with a big housing development around it. In the mid-2000s, the economy crashed. The golf course was built, but the mansion ended up becoming abandoned. It got bought in 2021 by another group of local investors, and that's the same year that the Dunnington Mansion Foundation sort of got involved, and we've been working with that group ever since.
Wow, that was a lot of history.
Sorry.
Yeah, I had no idea about all that. Thank you. So, what are some hopes or expectations for the mansion in the future?
So hopefully by the end of this year, early next year, we'll actually acquire the mansion. So it won't be owned by investors anymore. It will be actually owned by the nonprofit. Our ultimate goal is to turn it into a multi-use event and education center so that we can have a financially solvent business plan, but be able to share the history and teach the history as well.
Gotcha. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So who else is on the team with you?
So we have 8 board members now. Board members have been slowly added. So there were 3 founding board members that you have to have for a nonprofit in Virginia. One of those was actually the photographer who posted all of those pictures that I first saw and fell in love with it. He was the next founding member to come on. And then we've added several others after that, all with different strengths that they bring to the board. Some of them are Farmville locals, others are from different states. And we even have one of the Dunnington great-granddaughters as one of our board members as well.
Wow, that's amazing. So in what ways have you been receiving funding?
So a couple different ways. Donations, obviously we're a 501c3, so these are tax-deductible donations. We do have a GoFundMe page. Donors can also link directly from our foundation's website as well. So there's a donation platform as that for those that don't prefer to go through the GoFundMe. The majority of how we're raising money, though, is through private rentals for artists and then historic tours. So we've had professional photographers. I think we've done 5 music videos, 3 movies or parts of movies. We have a big movie coming in March. So all of that brings in income.
You said you had a movie coming up soon?
We do. In March, we have a 12-day shoot. It's kind of hush-hush for right now, so I can't tell you the name of the movie until their last shooting day.
Okay, okay. I love that. So when will the rebuilding process kind of begin?
A lot of that depends on funding. So the foundation has funded some small projects. So we put in an exterior door inside the conservatory or the greenhouse that's out there to allow access. We also had to recently fund taking down the historic front porch because it had become unstable and we were worried about collapse. So we've been doing small projects. We've applied for 5 grants this fall and we have 4 more grants coming in the spring. So as soon as we get the money, the projects will get bigger.
Gotcha. So if someone like me is interested, how can we get involved?
The biggest way, so donate, of course, that's very helpful. Also just following us on social media, sharing, supporting, talking about it. The more, I guess, advertising that we get and the more people learn about us, the better chance we have of being successful.
Gotcha. Well, now that was my last question for you. Okay. So let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with COMMCast Trivia. Time for everyone's favorite segment, COMMCast Trivia. So for our first question, who built the house in 1743?
The original wood structure was Baron Woodson, Richard Woodson.
All right, let's see the answer. Good job, you're correct. So for our next question, in what year did Walter Dunnington add a large addition to the mansion?
1897.
All right, let's see it.
It's actually 97.
Oh, actually 97.
It is 97.
Looks like
yeah.
we made a mistake.
We have the
over
terracotta medallion to prove it too.
Oh, okay, official. All right. So for our next question, when Nelson and Marcia sold the property, what was the impression of what the property would become?
So they thought that it was going to become what they were told, which was the crowning jewel. So it was supposed to be a restaurant, pro shop, conference center. That is why they did sell the property to investors, because they were promised that it was going to be well cared for. Both of them are actually quite devastated that it's in the condition that it's in now.
Gotcha. Well, let's see that answer. Yep. Well, thank you to Heather Beach for joining us today, to everyone with CommLab behind the scenes, and thank you for watching. Join us live next Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. on YouTube for another episode of CommCast.